The unexpected trigger. Have you ever found yourself tearing up during a commercial? Or maybe you cry at movies that don't even have sad endings. Perhaps a simple act of kindness from a stranger makes your eyes water, and you wonder why you're so emotional when everyone else seems fine. If this sounds like you, you're not alone. And here's something that might surprise you: crying easily isn't a weakness. In fact, psychology has revealed some fascinating truths about what it really means when tears come quickly. Today, we're diving into the science and psychology behind emotional tears. What you're about to discover might completely change how you see yourself and your emotions. So if you've ever felt embarrassed about crying too easily, or wondered if something was wrong with you, this video is for you. Let's explore what your tears are really trying to tell you. The science behind your tears. Before we go further, let's understand what's actually happening in your body when you cry. Not all tears are created equal, and that's not just a metaphor, it's literal science. Your body produces 3 types of tears. First, there are basal tears, which keep your eyes lubricated every single day. Second, reflex tears appear when something irritates your eye, like dust or onion fumes. But the third type is what we're really interested in: emotional tears. Emotional tears have a completely different chemical composition than the other 2 types. When you cry from emotion, your tears actually contain stress hormones like cortisol and adrenocorticotropic hormone. This means crying is literally your body's way of releasing emotional tension and stress chemicals. But here's where it gets interesting: not everyone's emotional threshold is the same. The speed at which you cry is influenced by several factors working together in your brain and body. Your limbic system, the emotional center of your brain, processes feelings before your rational mind even catches up. Some people have a more sensitive limbic system, which means emotions hit faster and stronger. This isn't a malfunction, it's just how your unique brain is wired. And this wiring? It's about to tell us something important about who you are. High emotional intelligence. Here's the first major insight psychology offers: people who cry easily often have higher emotional intelligence than those who don't. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is your ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions, both your own and others. Research has shown that people with high EQ are more in tune with their feelings. They don't suppress or ignore emotions, they experience them fully and authentically. When you cry easily, it means you're deeply connected to your emotional world. You feel things genuinely and completely. While others might intellectualize their feelings or push them down, you allow yourself to experience the full spectrum of human emotion. This also extends outward. People who cry easily tend to be highly empathetic. When you see someone suffering, you don't just understand their pain intellectually, you feel it. That movie character's struggle. It resonates because you can put yourself in their shoes completely. Studies have found that individuals with high empathy activate the same neural networks when witnessing someone else's emotions as they do when experiencing those emotions themselves. Your brain literally mirrors what others feel, making their joy your joy and their pain your pain. This isn't oversensitivity. This is emotional depth. And in a world that often values emotional restraint, this depth is actually a profound strength that allows you to connect with people on levels others can't reach. The stress and sensitivity connection. Now, let's talk about another factor that influences how easily you cry: your current stress levels and overall nervous system sensitivity. When you're under chronic stress, your emotional regulation system gets overloaded. Think of it like a cup that's already nearly full. It doesn't take much more water to make it overflow. Your stress hormones are already elevated, so smaller emotional triggers can push you over the edge into tears. This is why you might notice you cry more easily during particularly stressful periods of your life. That touching commercial might make you sob when normally it would just make you smile. It's not that you've suddenly become weaker, your system is already working overtime managing stress. Additionally, some people are born with what psychologists call a highly sensitive nervous system. About 15 to 20% of the population are highly sensitive persons, or HSPs. These individuals process sensory and emotional information more deeply than others. If you're an HSP, you don't just hear music, you feel it resonating through your entire being. You don't just see beauty, it moves you to tears. Your nervous system is like a high-definition camera, picking up details and nuances that others might miss entirely. This sensitivity means emotions land with more impact. A kind gesture feels more profound. An injustice feels more painful. And yes, tears come more easily because you're experiencing everything at a higher intensity. Understanding this about yourself isn't about finding an excuse, it's about recognizing your unique wiring and learning to work with it instead of against it. Hormones and biological factors. There's another piece of the puzzle we need to address. Biology and hormones play a significant role in how easily you cry. Women, on average, cry more frequently than men. Before you think this is about gender stereotypes, the reason is actually biochemical. Women have higher levels of the hormone prolactin, which is associated with emotional tears. Testosterone, which men have in higher levels, may actually inhibit crying. This doesn't mean the emotional experience is different, it just means the physical response differs due to hormonal influences. Men may feel just as deeply but have a higher biological threshold before tears actually fall. Hormonal fluctuations also explain why crying might come more easily at certain times. During menstruation, pregnancy, or menopause, shifting hormone levels can make emotions feel more intense and tears more accessible. This isn't being hormonal in a dismissive sense, it's a real physiological phenomenon affecting your emotional regulation. Sleep deprivation is another biological factor. When you're exhausted, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for emotional regulation, doesn't function as well. You lose some of that emotional control that usually keeps tears at bay. Even your physical health matters. Certain medications, nutritional deficiencies, and medical conditions can affect your crying threshold. If you've noticed a sudden change in how easily you cry, it's worth considering whether something in your physical health has shifted. The point is this: crying easily isn't just in your head. Your body's biochemistry is actively involved in when and how you express emotions through tears. Past experiences and emotional patterns. Your history also shapes how easily you cry. The experiences you've lived through, especially in childhood, have literally wired your emotional responses. If you grew up in an environment where emotions were expressed openly and validated, you likely learned that crying is a normal, acceptable way to process feelings. You weren't taught to suppress tears, so they flow more naturally when emotions arise. Conversely, some people who cry easily do so because they spent years holding emotions in. Perhaps you grew up in a household where crying was discouraged or seen as weakness. You learned to push feelings down, but emotions don't disappear, they accumulate. Now, as an adult, those years of suppressed feelings might mean tears come more easily because there's so much stored emotion ready to surface. Trauma also plays a role. People who've experienced significant emotional pain often develop a more sensitive emotional response system. Your nervous system learned to stay alert to emotional danger, which can make you more reactive to emotional stimuli. But here's something beautiful: healing often involves relearning to cry. Therapy frequently helps people reconnect with their emotions, and tears become a sign of progress, not fragility. If you cry easily, it might mean you're in touch with parts of yourself that others have lost connection with. Your tears tell a story about where you've been and how you've learned to cope. They're not random, they're meaningful expressions of your unique emotional journey. The cultural conversation and reframing. Let's address something important: society's complicated relationship with crying. Many of us have absorbed messages that crying is weak, unprofessional, or something to be embarrassed about. We live in cultures that often value stoicism and emotional restraint, especially in professional settings. You might have been told to toughen up or get thicker skin. But here's what psychology actually tells us: emotional expression, including crying, is essential for mental health. Suppressing emotions doesn't make you stronger, it actually increases stress, anxiety, and even physical health problems over time. Crying serves important functions. It releases stress hormones, which is why you often feel better after a good cry. It signals to others that you need support, strengthening social bonds. It helps you process complex emotions that can't always be articulated with words. People who cry easily aren't weak, they're authentic. They're honest about their internal experience. And in many ways, that takes more courage than hiding behind a stoic mask. Different cultures view crying differently. In some societies, emotional expression is celebrated and seen as a sign of depth and authenticity. In others, restraint is valued. Understanding these cultural contexts helps you see that judgments about crying aren't universal truths, they're cultural constructs. So if you cry easily, consider reframing it. You're not too emotional. You're emotionally honest. You're not too sensitive. You're deeply aware. Your tears aren't a problem to fix, they're a feature of who you are, offering you access to the full richness of human experience. Embracing your emotional nature. So, if you cry easily, what does psychology really say it means? It means you're likely highly empathetic, emotionally intelligent, and deeply connected to your inner world. It means you experience life in vivid color rather than muted tones. It might mean you're dealing with stress, navigating hormonal changes, or processing a lifetime of experiences that have shaped your emotional landscape. Most importantly, it means you're human in the most authentic sense. Crying easily isn't something that needs to be cured or hidden. Instead, it's something to understand and, perhaps, even appreciate. Your tears are data, they tell you when something matters deeply, when you need rest, when you're overwhelmed, or when you've witnessed something truly moving. If your tears ever feel overwhelming or are interfering with your daily life, reaching out to a mental health professional can help you develop emotional regulation strategies while still honoring your sensitive nature. There's no shame in seeking support. But for most people who cry easily, the goal isn't to stop crying, it's to understand what your tears mean and to let them flow without shame or judgment. The next time you feel tears welling up, instead of fighting them or feeling embarrassed, try this: take a breath, acknowledge what you're feeling, and let the tears come. Notice what your body needs in that moment. Maybe it's release. Maybe it's connection. Maybe it's simply permission to feel what you're feeling. Your tears are not your weakness. They're your humanity speaking. And in a world that often encourages us to disconnect from our emotions, staying connected to yours is actually a radical act of courage. If this video resonated with you, consider sharing it with someone who needs to hear this message. And if you want to explore more about emotional intelligence, sensitivity, and understanding your unique psychological makeup, subscribe to the channel. We're just getting started on this journey of self-understanding. Remember, you're not too much. You're exactly enough. Your tears matter, your feelings matter, and you matter. Thank you for watching.